Hello class, welcome to Right Ratios and Proportions, chapter 3.5. I have you on my docking station, so I'm going to take you off the docking station. Hopefully everything is fine still. Hopefully you can hear me. So right ratios and proportions. So definitions. Make sure you have these down in your notes. This is very important. A ratio uses division to compare two quantities. Sorry, I paused myself. I don't know why this is in my PowerPoint. But anyways. So again, ratios. Use division to compare two quantities. You can write the ratio of two quantities, A and B, where B is not equal to 0 in three ways. So don't focus on this thing that I X'd out. Focus on these three right here. So A to B, and this 2 is very important, which we'll find out later, but that 2 means the same thing as the symbol that we have here between the A and the B, and then A over B. So these are three ways that you can write a ratio. So proportion is an equation that states that two ratios are equivalent. So the key word equivalent, make sure that you understand that two ratios that are equal. So when you divide A divided by B, you'll get the same thing if you divide C divided by D. They should be equal. That's why on a lot of the problems that we work on, you'll do cross multiplication to figure out your answer. So A times D will equal C times B, or B times C, either way. So here's an example. A volleyball team plays 14 home matches and 10 away matches. So question A, find the ratio. So first off, they want to know the ratio. Find the ratio of home matches to away matches. Now going back, I said this word is very important, this two word. Okay, it's very key. So find the ratio, so we know we're going to write a ratio of home matches to away matches. So home matches to away matches. So we can say that if we go back, this would be our A and this would be our B. So home matches to away matches. Well, there are 14 home matches to 10 away matches. Or there's 14 home matches to 10 away matches. Or there's 14 home matches to 10 away matches. So those are the three ways that you could write that. So question B, find the ratio. So we're finding a ratio again of home matches to all matches. Okay, so that word all kind of changes things up a little bit. But again, here's the word to, very important word. So all matches. Well, how many matches did they have in total? There's 14 home matches and there's 10 away matches. So we know that there's a total of 24. But they want to know home to all. So home to all, home to all, and home to all. Now in the homework, I'm not asking you to write the answer three different ways similar to what I have down here. You'll only have to write it one way. So I'm just showing you all the ways that you could write it. So let's solve this proportion. So what do we know about proportion? There are two ratios. So here's my first ratio, and here's my second ratio. I know that they are equivalent. They're equal. So how do we solve this? So like I said before, we're trying to find x. We need to find what x equals. Now I would think in my head, look at the ratio on the left. I noticed something about this ratio on the left. It's 11 over 6. I noticed that the number on top is larger than the number on the bottom. So you got to anticipate that the number here in the numerator is going to be larger than the denominator of 30. So when you multiply across, like I said before, we probably will end up doing 11 times 30 will equal 6 times x, which equals 330. I shouldn't put that equals there, sorry. 330 equals 6x. And then you need to get x by itself, and x equals 55. So we know that 11 over 6 equals 55 over 30. So if you took a 5 out of the one on the right to reduce it, to simplify it, you know that you'd get 11 over 6 as well. But double check, put it in a calculator, okay, put 55 divided by 30, and make sure that that answer is equivalent to the 11 divided by 6. Okay, they are equal now. So here we have a story problem. A recipe for tomato salsa calls for 30 tomatoes to make 12 pints of salsa. How many tomatoes are needed to make 4 pints of salsa? So there's two ways that you can write this to figure out our x. So how many tomatoes right there, we know that that is our x. So one way you can write this is what I have here. Let's talk about number 1 first. Tomatoes over tomatoes. So we know that we have 30 tomatoes. And on the second one, we don't have the number yet, so we're going to leave that as x. And then we can do pints over pints. So we have 12 over 4. So when we solve this, cross multiplication, right? Notice what the number will look like down here is x, just by comparing it over to the right side. Cross multiply, we have 12x equals 120. Divide by 12, we know that x equals 10. So we would need 10 tomatoes to make 4 pints of salsa. Okay, remember you have to make sense out of that. Okay, so don't just put x equals 10. What does 10 truly mean? 10 truly means that we need 10 tomatoes. Okay? The second way that you could write this is you could write the small recipe over the small recipe. So the small recipe of tomatoes, which we don't know, over the small recipe of pints, which is 4. We do know that. So then we have the normal recipe of tomatoes, which is 30, and we have the 12 pints. So you can see that if I cross multiplied again, I'd be given the same thing. The 12x equals 120. Same thing as I have in the problem above here. Okay, so you still get x equals 10. But you really have to watch how I label these in number 1 and number 2, so you can see where you need to put, okay, your information. It's very important. Okay, if you put tomatoes over tomatoes or pints over pints, you got to make sure across that they go together as well. Okay, so if this is the small number of tomatoes that we don't know yet, it has to go with the small amount of pints of salsa on the bottom. So it's very important that your labels, the things that we're talking about, are lined up to make sure you have the right answer. And make sure your answer makes sense. Okay, most important thing. So here's your homework. So what I would do, I'm going to go backwards for a second here. I'd go back to the definitions, making sure you truly understand what a ratio is, what a proportion is. Okay, understanding how to write some ratios, 3 different ways. Okay, and then solving a proportion, and then solving this, okay, the story problem here. Okay, it's very important how you label and where you put your information in creating a ratio that's equal to another ratio, which creates your proportion. All right, so here's your homework. At a car wash, fundraiser. 18 ninth graders, 18 ninth grade students and 14 10th grade students worked the first shift. A, find the ratio of ninth grade students to 10th grade students. Then B, find the ratio of ninth grade students to all students. And then the next problem you have is to solve this proportion. Think about what H will equal by looking at this equation here on the right. Think about what H is going to be before you solve it, before you cross multiply. Okay? So if you have any questions, please email me. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.